All right, so we are checking out Polyhedral Pummeling. I didn't say plumbing this time. But yeah, so thank you so much for joining me, everybody. I guess let's just go through one at a time and do introductions, just alphabetically based on who we see here. So, Lidge, or Hedgein, I suppose.
Hey,
Hello.
yeah, I'm Hedgein. Yeah, thank you so much for having us on here. It's super kind of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I am Hedgein. I also stream on Twitch and I do game development on the side. I'm a college student. We're all college students. But yeah, that's my short little introduction.
Okay. And next up, we've got, is that Jaeger?
Yes, Jaeger. So I'm Jaeger, also a student, as Hitch said. I'm a senior studying like computer engineering, computer science, but I hope to go to grad school for game design, and I did programming on this project.
Okay, nice. Um, Pyrousha? Not sure
Yeah,
how to
you
say
can
the
just call
name.
me Pyro. No worries.
Pyro. That's easy. Thank you.
Yeah, so like the others, I'm also a college student studying comp sci, and I mostly did programming. Yeah, I like game dev, so I don't have really any socials or anything to link, but
That's
yeah.
good. All right, and then we've also got Soran. Can you help me on this one?
Yeah, Soranohato.
Soranohato. Okay.
Yeah. So I am a composer as well as an arranger. In my free time, I tend to arrange songs from video games, and I'm learning how to compose music as a part of games and studying computer science along with the others here.
Okay. Nice. So can you talk about what was the inspiration behind this game?
Um, I think right when the game jam started, we just started brainstorming a bunch of ideas. There was a lot of ideas that were like thrown out there. Um, I think if I remember, it was this and like some sort of like platforming genre, but we went with the tactical RPG, like kind of the idea of dice throwing themselves and like having them land on an attack or some sort of move. Something like that. Nick, do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I guess just as far as like what our inspiration was, um, I mean, we kind of just like Hitch said, we brainstormed, I think, for like an hour and a half
Mhm.
until we settled on what we thought or described at the time was just like, okay, so the dice are going to roll themselves, and then whatever they land on, like that's what is going to be your action. So there's going to be like some kind of chance in your action, like it's going to be different kind of things you can do based on like these dice that you roll, almost as if, and then the dice are kind of like spell slots, is how I described them. But then we kind of just started going and ran with it. I think and then took ideas as they came. Like one of the ones that was really big was the AOE damage, which I think, and what I've heard from a lot of the reviews on our game, is that it makes positioning really important. So it adds a little bit more depth without making it too complicated. So
So now that I'm actually getting into the combat here, I can see that I can very easily hurt my allies by mistake, unless I am sort of like choosing the range to make sure I'm not including anyone who's on my team.
yeah, and so part of what that gets into when there's more enemies is the goal was that to avoid having the player or encouraging the player to have all their characters just bunched up in a big group and kind of make them put some thought into, okay, where am I putting the D4, which is like the squishy healer character? Like I don't want them up front. I like if they get hit by a teammate or by an enemy, then it's gonna be bad for me. So that was the thought behind that.
Gotcha. So yeah, I really want to get like the tank up in front and then sort of blocking. Um, oh, I see. But there's a 1 in 3 chance basically of the berserk actually landing.
Yeah, that's correct.
Correct. or 1 in 4, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because it's 2 and 8. It's a 6 chances. Yeah. I was dividing it instead of thinking about the overall number of faces on the die. Cool.
No, that's totally fine. We definitely could have used some better like clarity on that.
All good. But yeah, I do appreciate that you are like, I mean, other than the berserk ability, you're by and large like, um, dealing damage most of the time. Like you're even if it's not very much. I do find it kind of a drag when you end up in a D&D combat scenario where you're just like all bunched together, all just wailing on each other, and all just like miss.
Right. That's something that we kind of wanted to avoid, because a lot of games, like originally when we were brainstorming, we were trying to think of a way to make RNG and randomness fun instead of frustrating. And so kind of the way we ended up doing that is, I think you've unlocked like a couple of the different dice for each of the characters. It's kind of like Super Mario Party, where each character has different options. So for example, the D8 has the option of using Berserk or not. And if it hits, it'll deal a lot of damage, but it has a high chance of missing. So it's completely up to the player how much of the risks versus reward they want to take, where they can choose to play a bit safer or play a bit riskier. And of course, it's still RNG of which side the dice lands on, but it's ultimately more in the player's hands than just everything's completely random all the time and the player has no autonomy over it.
Yeah, I think that it's incredibly hard to balance dice that are it didn't take long for those Super Mario Party dice to be broken up into tier lists of like, well, these ones are like clearly better than these other ones, even if they are quote unquote like numerically balanced for some certain situations. But
right.
Oh, I think I killed my teammate, but I think I also won.
Yeah, that does happen sometimes.
It's another thing on the bug list.
Yeah.
Are you supposed to lose if you lose a teammate?
No. There's just one bug where, like, if you, in some situations where if you accidentally, or if you kill a teammate, like, and they already went, and they haven't gone yet on their turn, then it might not move on to the enemy turn. But that has to be added to the list. Yeah. Was made aware of that yesterday afternoon.
Heck. JP So 86, thank you for the follow. And all right, so I guess if we can talk a little bit about the development process, just everyone sort of going through what they worked on. I guess we'll just start Hedge.
Yeah, for sure. So I was on art duty. I'm not an artist by like training. I'm actually usually on the coding side, but I don't use Unity, and Jaeger and Pyro are both more experienced in Unity. So I was happy to volunteer to do the art side because we didn't have an artist. I kind of like draw here and there, but like I'm not consistent with it. I always like it's always something I want to develop more. So this was like actually like I enjoyed being able to do more of the art side of the game development, and just like have that experience. But yeah, usually I was a little bit out of my comfort zone, so it was definitely something different this time around.
All right, and Jaeger.
Yep, I'll go next. So I did a lot of I only did programming, but so I use Unity on a daily basis. So I think that's where my expertise is. But I worked on the specific aspects I worked on were the AI, the tutorial, and the a lot of the UI stuff. So minus except for like the hit effects. I did like the menus, and I think that covers most of it.
Things are not going well for me in this battle.
It's unfortunate.
Uh-oh.
It's all good. Oh wait, you have to Oh boy.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's no
that's
level select. We ran out of time on that one, unfortunately.
That's
arcade
okay.
style, I suppose.
I can flip
Yeah.
through the tutorial real quick.
Sick.
Bye, Dr. Tronic. Thank you so much for dropping by. All right, and Pyro, I guess we were up to you in the development process.
Yeah, so I also helped out with some of the programming. I didn't do. I think I did like the basic like character movement, and then a lot of just random miscellaneous stuff like transitioning between levels, having sound effects, stuff like that.
All right, sounds good. And Soren?
Yeah, so I handled all of the music. For this game, I ended up making 3 tracks, and I would say I was a little out of my comfort zone actually, just because I have, by and large, just do arrangements of pre-existing songs from games that are fairly popular, but for this I had to make some original music, which was also quite fun, and I hope to do a lot more of it. But went through and made a title theme. There's a general combat theme which can be heard, and then on the stage with the king card, there is another theme for him.
And how many stages are there in the game?
There are 4. So there's the tutorial, then there's the one with just the one card, and there's the one that you are. Oh, sorry, not including the tutorial. Then there's the one that you are on now. And then there's one more, and then the final king fight.
Okay, so there's this one. There's the one that I died on, and then there's the king
Yep.
after that. Okay.
Correct.
Or is
yes.
there? Okay. All right. So, do you have any useful shortcuts or clever hacks you might recommend? So, Hedge, you usually develop in Rust, right?
I do, yeah. I usually either Godot or I've been developing more in Bubby lately. I think the last jam I participated in was the Rusty Jam? Not the Bubby Jam, but the Rusty Jam. Yeah, this is correct. I was with some other people on that, but yeah, I mostly just stream in Rust because I'm a Rust purist and they roast me all the time about it. But yeah, I think there might come a time where I might come around to learning Unity as well. But I do prefer Rust because I really do enjoy it.
I accidentally one-shot my healer.
Oh no.
I will say, something you can do is that the cards that target specific characters, that's not like whoever's closest to him, you can kind of kite them away with whoever they're targeting. So like the healer, you could just use them to kite the hearts, and then just follow them with whoever you want to attack with.
Nah, healer's got to pull DPS just like everyone else.
Yeah.
Team effort.
I will take the suggestion for sure.
Yay, victory.
Right. So the I saw the comment earlier from Angman about the having to click the character and then click attack. It makes sense when you unlock more than one ability, because otherwise, when you only have the one ability, yeah, attack could be pre-selected or something. But otherwise, you do need to pick the character and then pick what they're gonna do. I guess you could do something like attack as the default option. You could scroll wheel up and down if you wanted to do something different, but again, it just gets into a lot more complexity.
I think we were also aiming for kind of like turn-based RPG style. So the idea, what you're saying, how it would make sense with basically if you had multiple types of attacks or special moves or something like that. In that case, that makes more sense. But I do agree with Ingman that it could be kind of repetitive. Clicking the attack button every time.
Yeah, I've heard that comment a lot, so that would be one thing I would have changed if we could. So.
All right, I'll try to do a better job on this fight this time.
Okay, the king fight isn't too bad. I don't think.
We'll see. So I guess yeah. Hedge, if did you have a like any tips in Godot or with using Rust that you might want others to be aware of?
Learn Rust. No, I'm just kidding. Um, I think if you're gonna do, I think as of the state of like Rust game development right now, Bevy is still very much maturing. So I don't know if I have any like um specific tips there, but I think if you do want to do something like a full development in Rust, you would be better off using Rust bindings in Godot. And I think Godot is actually like I really do like Godot. I think the first game engine I used for a game jam was Game Maker's. No wait, I just got to say the channel for the game jam. Game Maker Studio. But I found Game Maker language to be, at least for me, like to be kind of, as from a coding perspective, kind of limiting and kind of convoluted. But Godot was a like really nice change of pace because I think the whole philosophy behind Godot is like it's very modular in design. So it's like kind of like the idea of like you're building your own Lego blocks and then you're putting it together how you want to put it. So I think in terms of like tips with Godot, I don't know if I have any like specific tips, but I think just like I guess like in general, a tip is just like make something small, like play around with the engine and stuff like that, and see what you come up with.
There we go. It's all on that final
Amazing.
berserk. There's no way that should have worked. I was just like, I'm pretty close to succeeding. I'll just let my characters just like keep hitting each other. It's like, I'm losing. Bad idea.
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, hey, now you made it to the last part.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now you get the super cool self-destruct ability.
Yes. It
Very
makes
fun to
I mean,
use.
it's very appropriate. This character looks kind of like a Geodude, so they're definitely going to use self-destruct.
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
didn't either.
he does kind of look like a Geodude.
Well, vaguely, like in the fact that Geodude looks like a sphere that is gray.
Yeah,
Little
it
stubby
gives off the
arms.
same vibe, and he has like the little arms flexing, and
Yeah.
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 I don't know if Jaeger or Pyro guys want to talk about like any like useful tips you guys used in the development of this game jam. You guys want to share something with Unity?
I'll say learn the new UI system, the new Unity UI system. I don't, by new, I mean like newer than like 2018, 2019. Just because what I do for work, I do like mixed reality development, so all the UI stuff is just like in the scene. So I didn't really have experience with that before, and I was trying to do all the old stuff and didn't really understand how the new system worked. So I would say before you jump into like a big project, learn that. It'll make your life a lot easier when you're trying to design like different menus. And then also some of it still uses the old stuff. So just know that if you're looking for the namespace unityengine.ui, you have to go Google it because it's hidden from the Unity docs.
Yeah, it's
That's
very
all I had.
important. Sounds good. All right.
I think something I noticed that was just really helpful, especially, I think it's good just in general, but Unity, what I really like about it is using prefabs and stuff. It makes it really easy if you want to make a change in multiple places. If you have everything just hooked up as prefabs, you don't have to go into every scene or every object just to make that one change. You can just do it once, and it's super nice for not only just organization, but also just saving time, which I think especially for a game jam is really, really nice.
I'd like to add to that. The prefabs were a very large part of me and Pyro's workflow. So we were like coding at the points where we were writing code at the same time or whatever. Like we're not working on the same machine. So if you have someone else who's also programming, the tips I would give are: one, make sure you're working on different scenes, so not the same one at the same time. And then what Pyro said, use prefabs. So if there's something that needs to persist across scenes, like the character design or the dice like objects. Like they were all scriptable, or all the attacks are scriptable objects. Sorry, I was stumbling over that.
So, okay.
Under the dice is part of the prefab. So in that example, right, we can just change the prefab and then push to get, and then the other person pulls down. There's no conflicts, and then whatever the other person just did is now in every scene on your machine. So definitely, if you're co-developing, use prefabs wherever you can.
Yeah, agreed. Prefabs are incredibly helpful part of the Unity development process. All right, and then even like from the music side of things, Soren, do you have any suggestions or anything
Yeah,
you'd like to?
so for me, like I do have like some things that I've spent money on, but there's a lot of like free things that are used fairly frequently, like for a workstation, like to make music in. One that a lot of people use that is completely free is called Reaper, and it has a lot of amazing tools in it that can be comparable to even some of the more expensive ones like FL Studio. And there are plenty of free instruments out there. You can even use audio files from other games as a base, but there are many ways to go about making music. For me, I tend to start with like getting an idea of like the vibe that I'm going for with the music first. In this case, it's kind of especially with the title screen, it's more like carefree, so I kind of went with a jazz kind of feel with it, with like pianos and stuff, and just like you kind of like make a feel for it, and then like you get like the base of the track, and once you have an idea, you kind of build around that.
Mhm. And then are you trying to use like similar instrumentation and
Yeah. Generally speaking, you I guess very generally, like people will use similar instrumentation across a game, or like if it's a larger form game, maybe across like different areas. Or like if you've got like a story-based game, like maybe one character will always have like one instrument and a different character will always have a different instrument. That way you get that one feeling for like anytime this instrument is used, this character is involved.
Mhm.
Like with the King card in this game, with his theme, I used a set of brass, and that's really the only time the brass is heavily used. And that's I kind of was like, oh yeah, brass is royal, so we'll do that with him.
Sounds good. Literally.
Yeah.
I make joke. But yeah, so how about the feedback that you've been getting so far? Is there anything that you like had in mind that you wanted to change or that you are aiming to change in a post-gen version?
I think maybe some quality of life fixes, especially with like some of the UI issues, it would be nice. But I'm trying to think. I'm looking through the comments right now, but I do have to say that for me and like the art side, I don't know if I like ended. I was like dozing off at the table when we needed a background for the arenas, and the pixel backgrounds that I chose that I kind of like, I guess like quote unquote put together, they were like a tile set.
Mhm.
I don't know if they really match like, or if it's like readable that well, especially with the final arena with the king card. Is it kind of the colors I feel like don't go that well together. So I think like maybe from an art perspective, I would like to revisit that and maybe learn more about how colors work better. But that's just like for me personally. I don't know about Nick or sorry Jaeger or Pyro for regarding like Unity and stuff like that because I wasn't on like the coding side.
As far as coding goes, I would say like quality of life UI stuff. It sounds like most people who review or who rate the game like generally enjoy like the attack, like AoE, like how the positioning works. But there were a few comments regarding the UI that I was like, oh yeah, like I kind of saw that coming. I mean, even stuff like we have the default Unity buttons, which was just so much as we ran out of time to make our own graphic for it. And then also the UI stuff, like what you mentioned earlier, like going down to click attack every single time, even if you only have one option. Maybe putting that menu as a pop-up closer to where you click the character. I don't know. There are a few ideas floating around about that, but I think that if we were to improve it, that would be what I would work on.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of like, I would definitely agree with like quality of life type of stuff. Like it'd probably be nice to actually see the health numbers of characters, especially since like these enemies, they don't target based on percentage health. It's like health number. So that's kind of hard for players to understand without like having played it themselves or know what the values are. But I think the biggest thing is probably just it would have been really nice to have some kind of level select, or even just make it that when you die you restart the current level.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, because especially it's a game jam, so likely people, if they die, they'll probably head off to another game, which is completely understandable. But I think, especially since it's a game based on RNG, it would feel kind of bad. It feels pretty awful, actually, to have to redo like the same thing over again, just because you might have gotten unlucky or tried a strategy that you hadn't done before.
Yeah, I mean, I'm working my way through the game a third time here, and as you said, like if I wasn't playing for the sake of the interview, then I probably would have stopped after the first time. But you know,
Which
it's
is
all
fair.
good. There we go. Yeah, it can be real tough. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, if anybody has any questions in chat, now's the time to ask them. I guess just generally speaking, in terms of feedback on the game, I think that it could be a little more clear. Like when you have the different attacks, you list the like probability of them happening. Yeah, a 5% chance for the controlled explosion is definitely not worth using. I think it would be nice to know exactly how much damage each of them deal so that you can look at an enemy and say, oh, this enemy has X amount of health. I've got this attack. Like, should I even risk Berserk, or will a regular attack finish them off? Like, just having that extra little bit of information would help the player to make those decisions.
Yeah, I
definitely.
100% agree.
I agree with that. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think there's just a lot of, in general, in this game, we just didn't really get around to figuring out ways or just implementing, being able to show the player that information. But it's definitely something that would greatly enhance the gameplay, because it's supposed to be somewhat of a strategy game, but a strategy game where you can't reliably plan what the outcome of something will be. Yeah, that feels kind of bad. So thank you for the feedback.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's all within the scope of trying to work within, oh, this is a game jam, though. So, like, the purpose, the theme of this game jam was the, like, roll of the die. If you hadn't had that adherence to theme as a restriction, shall we say, would you have, like, designed the combat differently?
I think it's honestly kind of hard to say, because I think kind of the only reason we settled on this idea was directly an inspiration of roll of the dice, of like, okay, what kind of different ways can we have dice characters? Like, how do they attack? Do we have combat? So I think if the theme was different, or if roll of the dice wasn't a thing, we might have ended up with a completely different game. So I know that's not the most satisfying answer, but
Oh yeah, I totally
God.
agree.
Yeah.
I think like for I think what do they say, like thinking outside the box? I think it's like when you have like unlimited freedom, it becomes really hard to like nail something down, and then you kind of like go way too off the board. But then when you have like restriction, like for example, a game jam theme, I think it really does like help you force you to give you like constraints to work within that
Mm.
give you more, I guess, like different ways of thinking about something you would approach like normally, but you're approaching it differently because of that constraint. So
Yeah. Well, I was once again unsuccessful. 2 simultaneous confusions from the mage,
oh
and
no.
then
Ouch.
a unsuccessful berserk, and then an unsuccessful self-destruct. So, oh well, what can we do? All right. Well, if no one's got any questions coming in from chat, I guess we'll start to wrap things up there. But where can people find you on social media, and do you have any other projects in progress that you'd like to plug?
I think, should I just like link it in chat? Question mark?
Yeah.
Is
Any
that
links? Yeah. Go ahead.
oh, okay. I do have I yeah, my Twitch channel, my YouTube. Probably I would want to plug those.
Go for it. Go ahead and drop links as you see fit.
Awesome. And then, what was the other question? Like any other projects in the
Projects
works?
that you're working on, yeah, that you'd like to show off.
We are planning. That's me. We are planning to do more game jams during the rest of the summer. I think towards the end of the summer and into the school year. So I don't know if any of you guys want to like talk more about that, but and plug your socials. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any game dev related socials, so I'll hold off on that. But yeah, we're just planning to do more game jams. We were looking at um, a Metroidvania game jam that some of us are interested in. Some or all of us are interested in. That
Yeah,
is like a month long. So I think that we're looking at doing that. But yeah.
sounds good. Pyro?
Yeah, I think the only thing I would have is I do have my itch page. There's pretty much the only thing on there is, besides this game, was a game that I made for one of my previous classes. It's like a pretty short little action platformery game. It's
Mhm.
definitely not super polished, but might be interesting if anyone wants to take a look.
All right. And Zoran?
Yeah, so I have a YouTube channel where I try to put a cover of a song from a game out every month, and I also put any of my music projects that I work on my own time with game dev stuff on there as well, such as the soundtrack for Polyhedral Pummeling, which I will put in the chat as well. And yeah, that I just try to consistently upload different music in different styles. And I'll
Nice.
hopefully be taking part in that Metroidvania month game jam as well and getting more music for these guys.
Sounds excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming by and talking about the game with me. And I guess I will see you on Hedge. At least I will see you on your channel momentarily. I'll let
Yeah, for
you go
sure.
ahead and get set up on that. But anytime you have any project in the future, always feel free to come by, and always happy to provide feedback and talk through the development process. So thanks a lot.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. This was really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, it
Yes,
was
thank you very
awesome.
much.
All right. You're most welcome. Bye for now.
See you.
See ya.
Have a good one.
You too. All right. So, yeah, that is going to do it for